Alright, hello. I'm doing a rundown of Team Fortress 2. I'm going to try and make this as quick as possible. I did my last one, but I had a lot of reverb and air on my mic, and I hope this one turns out differently. I wanted to do a rundown of the item shop and the items, I don't know, basically acquiring all the items in the game. My friends, I've been telling them I've been playing this, and they don't really have an idea of what's going on, because it's much different from the orange box on the Xbox. Completely different game, totally different experience. What you can do is for your classes you have weapons, say a main, a secondary, and then like a third slot with a headgear or a hat, and then miscellaneous, and then action. These are the same for all the classes. Use the scout for example. What you do is you have a base weapon, and for that base weapon you can get different weapons that have their stats fluctuate based upon the original weapon. This one I crafted myself. It's the soda popper. It's different from the scattergun, which is the original base shotgun for the scout. It has a 50% faster firing speed, a 25% faster reload time, but as a detriment, it has a 60% smaller clip size, no random critical hits. And in the game you can get random critical hits that will do a lot more damage to the player, and this gun takes that away. But what happens is as you run, you build up a height meter, and once that is full, you release mini crits on the other player. And then you have a pistol and then a secondary slot that does different things, such as bonk. Bonk makes you invincible for a period of time, but you can't do anything else. Used to distract sentry guns and things like that of that nature. And then different bats that do different things. The candy cane, if I get a kill with it, a small health pack is dropped, but I'm more susceptible to explosive weapon damage. So that is the way items change up, and they're the same with the different classes. They just have different features, and what you want to try and do is find one that suits your playstyle, where that the pros kind of outweigh the cons on the weapon, and that it doesn't really affect you so much. Now, the ways to acquire these different weapons are, you can find them randomly in the game. After a life, after you die, you'll be notified if you randomly find a weapon. It'll just drop to you. You can craft them here in the crafting section, or you can buy them or trade them. Now, I'll talk about crafting them right now. In order to craft, you have to smelt down your class weapons to create more class weapons. Now, what I mean by this is, well, it's pretty self-explanatory, but once you start stacking weapons, say I have 2 of the cloak and dagger, which is a watch for the spy, I can use 2 of these, which I'll do that since I have 3, and once you get 2 of them, you craft them, and you get scrap metal. And with the scrap metal, what you can do is you'll combine that with 3 of them, get reclaimed metal, and then 3 of those will create refined metal. And that's basically how it goes. What you can also do is get class tokens with 3 weapons from one class, and what this does is, usually for the hats over here, you can create class specific hats. So if you put in your class token and then you get all these medals here, you'll get a hat for that specific class alone. Now, once you have all the medals, there's blueprints for the weapons that you haven't acquired randomly or through the store or trade. If you have a lot of one weapon you don't use, you want to come here and try and get something that you don't have that might be better for you in your playstyle, because everyone plays differently, and I love how these weapons tend to help and accommodate for that. Let's use one for an example. One that I don't have. There's boots you can get, the quick fix. It's a charge for the healer. Your healing is increased by 300%. You have a 40% heal rate extra, 25% uber charge rate, but you can't overheal. And what this means is, as a medic, when you're healing somebody for more than their max health, they'll get more of an overshield, and then I'll slowly deplete when you're not healing them. But you can't do that with this, but obviously you get extra healing. See, and the way to create this is get the metal, and then 2 of these items. Mad Milk, I think that's for the scout maybe? I don't know, I'm not really sure. I don't have that item. And then the Kritzkrieg, which is another gun for the medic. So it's usually you take a class weapon to create another class weapon. And over here you can create headgear, like I said. You can create a random piece of headgear or a specific one if you want that. There's also a catalog that basically shows you, I believe, all of the items in the game that you can get. One thing here to talk about is the supply crates. As opposed to dropping a random weapon in a game, you might find a supply crate. And these usually contain about, like 3 random items. And in order to get these, you have to buy a key from the store. I don't know of any other way to acquire a key. That's all I've been told. And you can get a bigger backpack too if you're getting on items and just random little things in the store. Now, there's also the trading feature, and this is another way to find the weapons you want and the items you want. You can do it through your friends list, or if you're in the middle of a game, you can bring up the current server and trade with anyone in the game. Say if somebody has an item you really want and you have like 3 of one item they don't even have. I mean, whatever way you can come to a compromise, that usually works out for people. And then the last way to obtain the items is just to buy them from the store. The featured item of the week here is, I believe this is Quake. Somebody mentioned it was a Quake rocket launcher. It's the original rocket launcher for the Soldier. The statistics and stats, just exactly the same, but I think the appearance has just changed. So if you want that, I'm not sure if it's going to be exclusive and unavailable after a certain time, but you buy it and then you also get a hat. Now, these are all the featured items for the week. Different things, more headgear, a Pip-Boy, which comes straight out of Fallout. This is for the engineer. I'm not sure exactly what it does. But then over here you can buy bundles. Now, what the bundles do is they're boxes that you know what you're getting in, like the random boxes, but there's starter packs, and they go all the way to you can buy this one right here. It's $100 for this box. And there is just a ton of stuff in it. There's a lot of stuff listed there that you can see. But what I would do if you wanted to craft specific items, to get all your medals for only 99 cents, I would just buy starter packs for the same class. And since you have all the same class weapons, you can smelt them down into the same thing and get all the metal you need to create any items you might want. You can go over here and buy the hats that you're not getting. All kinds of different hats from different events, and they just came into the game randomly. Just changes the appearance of your character. Other players will be able to see it, and you'll see it when you die. You can look through all class items, and then you can go to class specific, like spy items. These are the items they can wear. Just different, like fancy hats. All the weapons you may not acquire through trade or crafting, you can buy here. I do not advise this because you never know what you're going to get randomly. And I say this because the Cow Mangler 5000, this is a rocket launcher for the Soldier. It is on the store here for $10, but just last night I was playing a game and it randomly dropped for me, and I've been using it. It's really good. I do like it a lot. It has I'm finding that the perks definitely outweigh the negative stats about it. But like I said, it's $10 on here, and I just randomly found it, so I'd be really careful before you bought anything to make. I mean, there's no way of knowing if you're randomly going to get something drop, but just don't go ahead and waste your money. There's also miscellaneous. You can change the color of items through paints. I haven't gotten the chance to use these. And then there's just different things in here that you may want. A taunt and just a whole bunch of paint. And then there's also stamps that you can buy for the community-made maps, and I think it's just for showing support, and you can collect all of them. Possibly you get something when you collect enough. I never really got into that. I just kind of play, and I manage all my different weapons and items with my classes. So this was the item and class overview. Tried to make it as quick as possible, but kind of a little bit to cover in a short amount of time. So I hope this was helpful.